folks. Is the recording on, Dave, or is it?
It just did the recording, yes. I'm just bear with me while I check my audio settings very briefly.
Has our audio been on that whole time?
Nope.
Oh, thank goodness.
Can you hear us okay, Nieves?
Disappeared.
Oh,
Yep, no, there we go.
We're coming through.
Okay, and it's recording.
We are recording.
Okay, good evening, folks. First off, our video recording disclaimer for those in attendance, both via Zoom and here in the room. This disclaimer is to inform all participants that this meeting conducted in person and via Zoom will be recorded for record-keeping purposes. By participating in the meeting, you consent the recording may contain your video stream, including images of yourself, your audio stream. This includes any opinions you contribute. Anyone attending the recorded meeting may have aspects of their personal data recorded if they actively participate or not. By staying in the meeting, you consent to being recorded. And by consenting and attending the meetings virtually or in person, participants also agree to recordings being posted to YouTube or other distribution services. I'd also like to acknowledge the First Peoples and Traditional Territory. Armour Township is situated on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe. Armour Township recognizes the historical and contemporary contributions of the local First Nations and the people of Turtle Island. First off, we have a set of minutes. Council Township of Armour approved the minutes of the regular council meeting held on September 9th, 2025 as circulated. Get a mover, Jerry and Dorothy. Any errors, omissions, edits? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, so for the benefit of the folks in the audience, one online and one in the room, I'm going to suggest that we move items 33 and 34 up in the agenda, if everybody's okay with that. And we'll move it to just after bylaws, if that's okay. So after item 5. Any issues with that? Ben, you're free to stay here past that if you want, but we have moved the agenda items up, so.
Okay.
But you can stay for the whole meeting. There's nothing.
I'll think about it.
Okay, first up, we have our delegation for tonight. That's Amy from our waste management coordinator on some updates from circular material and the resolution response based on something that came up at our last meeting. So Amy, I will pass it over to you.
Sorry. So I brought forward some more information with regard to a meeting that Dave and I attended virtually with circular materials. The resolution was what brought about the meeting, not the fact that we had already declined and asked to negotiate. So at this point, there's a resolution on the table for council to respond to circular materials request.
So reading through this, Amy, it's basically they've taken a bit of issue with our approach, is that, and they want us to essentially retract the resolution from our last meeting.
They want us to issue a statement with regard to the resolution. They haven't actually said retract it because it is already out there. It is on other agendas for municipalities. So they're looking for a statement that doesn't really coincide with the actual events.
So can I assume that they're being held accountable and they're afraid more municipalities are going to follow? And also and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, their approach was that we didn't follow the steps of the change management clause in our agreement. They think that we publicly said we decline because they weren't aware that we had already sent our resolution declining and opening the negotiation to procurement. It was not recognized when it was sent on July 23rd.
So that's not our problem, that's their problem.
Yes.
So I don't want to do anything.
So we did talk to the lawyer, the municipal lawyer, and he doesn't see what grounds they would have to pursue any legal action with the resolution the way it was. So,
And we're entitled to make resolutions, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so during the meeting, it was brought up that their legal team had advised them to request that we make a statement to the same distribution group that this resolution number 266 had gone out to. That the suggested wording that they had provided to us was noted in item C. And in reviewing this with our legal representation or our legal team, there was some back and forth. And I think that a lot of the points that we are being requested to follow up on weren't addressed in resolution 266. So in resolution 266, circular materials was referenced only in that a decision was circulated to not accept the change request. In terms of the items that are listed in this, there was some discussion during the meeting that we had where circular materials spoke to and provided some clarification. We also provided some comment on that, saying that, and I think one of the final comments that I put forward is, had we received some response back from our response to the change notice request, that this likely wouldn't have escalated to the situation that we have currently. But by and large, the comments that were made in resolution 266 were with respect to the entire transition and some of the frustrations that have been experienced, or some of I shouldn't say frustrations, the concerns that have been had. So there was a lot of question as to why we decided to take that approach. And I think at our August Tri-Council meeting, the Tri-Council partners were in favor of following up and clarifying, I guess, some of the concerns that we had. So there is nothing that our lawyer can see from a legal standpoint that would behoove us to make these statements based on the resolution that was put forward. In his opinion, the resolution was relatively general in nature. That there was no defaming statements. There was no quote unquote attacks against any organization, individual or otherwise. We're to that note as well, we're still in the process of coming to a resolution in terms of the solution that we have on the site with circular material. So we're still in the middle of trying to sort out some of the challenges that we had originally. But it doesn't seem at this point that there was a lot of confusion I think on the call as to why this would be what is, why this direction why Armour would take this direction.
So my question is, did circular material acknowledge our response to the change of order?
The July response?
And they still have.
I sent it in an email, July 23rd. I received no acknowledgement. Promptly the next morning after the meeting, I sent that again.
Yeah.
Forwarded from the original email to all the parties that were in the meeting.
Have you had a response since?
Yes, I attached delivery and read receipts to that email.
And has anybody responded to
Yes.
it?
Oh, yes, they all responded.
Okay. So ultimately, that's what we needed from 266. That's what we were looking for.
Well, 266 was to point out the fact that, so in September of 2024, they came to us and said, here's an agreement, let's work together. This is what you need to change. And then I heard nothing until December. And then I heard everything's changing.
Mhm.
So we've gone ahead this year, and my most recent calculation, $10,000 is what we've spent to amend the site to make that system work. Moving forward, so the other side of this is I'm going to need some direction on negotiating moving forward into 2026. So a couple of things for me, I don't see us pushing the issue of the compactor, because then we would have 2 trucks servicing a site, which would be inefficient, and we're trying our best to be efficient with the system that they want to use. So I can see the point of not responding at all, but I can also see the point where if we don't respond, what does that bring next?
Yeah, my concern is how much effect would that have on our ongoing negotiations with them?
The thing is, perhaps we could write a letter and offer your expertise in their inefficiencies to make things better. And going forth with, sort of soften it up a little bit.
Well, I would be more than happy to do that if I didn't have aging infrastructure. Like, we look at the building there was built in the 70s. There is issues with that building. The Quonset hut, I identified issues with it. Compactor has been sitting there since 2018 and it was purchased refurbished. Moving forward, are we going to get our ratepayers to purchase a brand new compactor or a refurbished compactor to replace that compactor? Or are we going to stick with their system and try to show them how? So I don't know how everyone else is doing it in the area, but for me and the staff, we want to make it work for the residents, because that's the most important thing of all of this. So
It does sound though that if it's on other agendas, that it's not working for anybody else either.
it is not. There are a lot of issues.
Inefficiencies.
It was said during the call with Circular Materials that, through consultation with landfill operators, municipalities, that they would like to address the issues that are arising, or any concerns that municipalities have, and move things forward. They've made the commitment many times to work together to come to an amicable resolve or to negotiate the contract. And, without jumping to any assumptions as to what that would look like by the end of things, or what those conversations will look like in the future, I think the matter in front of us is that they've issued with what they would like to see us move forward, and they made the commitment to continue working with us to come to hopefully an amicable resolve. And I would hope that any decision made here this evening, one way or the other, that that wouldn't impact the willingness to find as close to an ideal solution as we can get for all parties. I was very confident in the call with them that they were committed to walking through that process. And that's, I guess that's about all I can say about that commitment.
So we have 2 versions of the resolution here. One is really focused, I think, on Circular Materials words around, we would basically say that we misinterpreted some of the information in Resolution 266. When I read through Resolution 266, I don't see anything in there that's sort of damaging from anybody's point of view. There was nothing in there that was over the top. I was curious by their statement that they made in their response in your report, Amy, around the information they sent us was a negotiating point. Like this was our starting offer, and it's like, did they indicate that anywhere, or was it just, here's a number?
I see that nowhere in the contract.
So if we had accepted it, we're just accepting a lowball offer. Like that's curious. The other thing is, I've heard lots of, to your earlier point, I've heard a lot of other municipalities just in the whole process in general, just screaming, saying, what is going on? It's so confusing. Nobody, and last minute now we've got the grocery stores are now going to start pulling out of beer sales because they don't want to deal with bottle returns. So clearly this has not been very well thought through. And I guess the final point here is that, Amy, you didn't do anything wrong. You made the right call. And I think all 3 municipalities made the right call in putting this resolution through. That's
Absolutely.
my opinion.
Well, and I think as a council, I know I made the comment that that I thought we needed to push back. So that wasn't necessarily on Amy said, hey, this is what I want to do.
Mhm.
Amy got direction from us to say, we want you to push back. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you just said, it was never a negotiation. They
No,
told us what we were going to do and we were like,
It was clear.
we advised that is not ideal
it's
for the
not a good idea.
ratepayers.
Thank
So,
goodness.
so
Yes, yes.
According to circular materials during that call, it was mentioned in one of the forums, Amy, correct me on the name, whether it was a webinar or whether it was a roundtable or
working group.
a working group, that was the process. There would be an opening offer, opening negotiation. But my comment in speaking with our lawyer was, if that was the case and it was proposed to be a negotiation, yes, there are provisions in the contract for the change process. But you would think that would be, that there would be either itemized or a series of steps that would follow, that would be a little bit more upfront and transparent. If that was stated during a working group meeting, then again, in speaking with our lawyer, there was some expectation that would be documented somewhere and shared. And if that has happened, and we either don't have that communication or what have you, we haven't seen it, I guess, is the bottom line.
But that could have also been rectified by responding to your July email. Had they responded to the July email,
None of this
you
would.
would have understood that it was a negotiation.
Well, I understood, and I clearly stated in the email that we are looking to negotiate.
Yes, yes. So clearly had that actually been their intention from the beginning, they would have responded to that email by saying, oh, sorry. That was always the
opening.
yes, the plan. And the other part of that is, what about every other municipality that doesn't know that this is a negotiation and just agrees to the contract?
So when
So-
we had a little chat amongst some clerks and myself, there was one that felt that this didn't affect them because they haven't received a change notice. Their contract still ends December 31st. So how aware are they? The other thing about this working group, nowhere in my contract does it say that I should attend working groups to get information from circular materials.
Mhm.
Carrie, the director of Common Collection System, is well aware that I attend those meetings because her and I have a long history. She is also the same person that signed our CIF grants for 4 years in a row, 3 years in a row, perhaps.
So as far as writing a statement,
Yeah, so I think, so the other version of this is, and it's not that we want to get into a big, huge battle here. It's more, we're standing by what we said in the last resolution.
well, and
And
supporting you.
and standing by the approach that Amy's taken. So I'll read through this resolution, then we can reword it if we need to, but
May I just ask one question?
yes.
To your point, do you think it's going to create difficulty for you to negotiate with them if we're?
Well, my thing is, if they are not willing to sit so they, like Dave said, they firmly said, we want to negotiate and find out what the issues are. A little too late, but they would have to, if they can't sign a contract for that service there, then they have to provide another spot for our residents to take their blue box.
Which they don't want to do at this point.
They would have a lot of fun trying to do it.
So you're comfortable continuing to negotiate? Perfect. Okay.
And so I'll read in the resolution, which we probably should have done before, but because we have a few choices we wanted to discuss. Whereas the Township of Armour circulated resolution number 266 in good faith based on the information understanding available to council at the time. And whereas the township has received a request identified as item C that a follow-up clarification be sent to all parties included on the September 10th, 2025 communication. And whereas the council maintains that it has acted transparently and responsibly in communicating its concerns and perspectives related to the ongoing change management process initiated by Circular Materials. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of Township of Armour declines the request identified as item C to issue a follow-up email containing a third-party drafted clarification. 2, that the Township of Armour stands by the content and intent of resolution number 266 as a fair representation of its understanding and position at the time of circulation. And 3, that the township remains open to continued dialogue with Circular Materials and all stakeholders on matters related to the change management process and encourages constructive, transparent engagement moving forward. Dorothy. Seconder, Wendy. Further comments? Any?
Was that their resolution that they wanted?
No, that's our right.
That's our resolution, right?
Yeah. They wanted us to essentially retract
Right.
Now,
and
issue
make a
a,
state,
issue a notice of our clarification
Yeah.
on the process.
They can issue what they want.
Mhm.
It's up
Yeah,
to
they can
them.
say what exactly.
That was the comment of the legal team.
But there's nothing for us to clarify, like,
And if they want to clarify, they're free to
yeah.
do that. Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. Any other questions for Amy? All those in favor?
You good with it, Amy?
I'm good with it.
Thank you for all the work you do. I can't even imagine trying to sort through this.
Well, my other thing is like. So we've already spent $10,000. I've got 2 more clearing trees for more space so that we can work with what we have there. Over the next, if I get to a negotiation with Circular Materials, I would like to ask a couple of things of them because there's other articles in this contract that they're not even recognizing now. So contamination. I've worked for this municipality for 15 years. I've been through the Tri-Art Committee, down to Armour Council, and I worked for the Shared Services. All of the people I've worked with over those 15 years have wanted to be efficient. Don't ship garbage around if you don't have to. That should be clean, blue box going in there. So one thing I would like to, in the negotiation, ask them for our contamination levels because it's detrimental moving forward. Now that they're pulling this kind of stuff, what are they going to pull next? My other thing is, the scope of collection services. So they started out saying, we agree to do this. They changed everything. So we've been collecting data. I'm prepared to give them a cost estimate given back on the same sheet that they gave it to me on last year at the same cost that we're doing it for today. But what I'm going to ask for is a 1-year versus a 3-year term of contract. And that'll be the breaking point because we still need to take a look and see what we are going to have to spend without any funding from the province or Circular Materials to make the site safe and operational.
That's a good idea.
Thanks, Amy.
And thank you for standing by.
We're in front of you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Next.
we have item 4. It's our application, site plan application 1850 Pevensey Road. Council Township of Armour accept the application for site plan approval submitted by David and Mary Ogilvy, concession 14, part lot 31, 1857 Pevensey Road and fronting on the Magnetawan River. Request municipal planner proceed with drafting the site plan agreement. This is item 4. Get a mover.
Sure.
Jerry. Seconder, Dorothy. Looks pretty straightforward, sure.
I'm not doing site plans anymore.
This is
all Kayla.
Kayla.
Yep, she did this one all by herself.
Now, the blue line around the is that the building envelope?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Has nothing to do with the floodplain.
No, well, the front of the,
Floodplain's down farther, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Want a bigger version?
No, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's nice if there were different colors.
Bob doesn't like colors at all.
Who's he? We're making decisions.
Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? And that carried. And our bylaw 55-2025. So this is item 5. agreement with Scoopalicious.
Mhm.
I'll read this then and we will discuss. Council Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 55-2025 being a bylaw to enter into a lease agreement with Lynn St. Martin operating as Scoopalicious for part of Doe Lake Municipal Park and repeal bylaw 37-2025. We authorize the mayor clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of corporation there too. Amy Mover, Andy. Second. Jared. Quick bit of background on this one, I guess, Dave. Would you?
Yep. So I was approached by the owners of Scoopalicious, who have expressed interest in operating at the Doe Lake Park space. They had proposed something a little bit differently than we had done in the past. So we've had to reach out to a number of staff members just to get some background insight on the site itself and the viability. Essentially, how I've changed the contract is approving a 5-year lease period as opposed to a 1 year with the opportunity to renew. They had put that forward as they see the having operator right next door. They see the benefit in moving forward there. And also too, he would like to keep his trailer available for mobile events. His hope would be to operate that in the weekends leading up to summer and then 7 days a week from noon until 8 every day, have it fully staffed. And his hope was to not have to pull that space out, that he would build it in an elevated fashion as to avoid the water that will accumulate there. The hope was to have a semi-permanent structure that could be, as it's listed in the agreement, that could be removed without any impacts, negative impacts to the land. And understanding that it would be at his risk because we have seen fairly significant water. I directed him to the photo from the 2019 flood that showed no separation between that section of the Magdalene River and Doe Lake. And suggested that between 12 and 18 inches be provided as elevation with a deck to be able to get up on it. I said, well, the discussions that council would have to have is if they're okay having a structure there, again, at the lessee's own risk, and that in the event of water rising, they would pull it out, and B, the 5-year term of agreement. Now, we have currently we have a couple of tenants that have had long-term lease agreements that have been renewed annually or every other year that have been in there for quite some time. But again, his point is that if he's going to invest in this building, he would like to make sure that he's got a number of years to overcome that investment, and recognizes that all of the permits and certifications that he would need are on him to get. So longer lease term and semi-permanent structure, I guess, are the two major changes to this.
Are there any concerns with legalities about having somebody else owning a building? I understand it's leased to him, but we also use a lot of that property. So to say this one little area is leased, but we are still free to use all the rest of it, is that concerning? Is that?
So we, in the term of, in the lease agreement, there is a appendix A that has the space drawn out. He had asked if it would be okay to have 3 picnic tables that he put out for any of his customers. And I had suggested that it would be the type of arrangement where those picnic tables would be either leaned up against the side of his building prior to leaving or what have you. But I don't know of anything legally. Again, we've got that list of this is where you're operating out of. And I'm not aware of any at this point. I mean, we could bring it towards we could give it to Ed for a review.
I don't love picnic tables being moved for his use only,
Well, he'd be bringing them in.
Those are his.
Yes, but you said you would have, absolutely, but for us to tip them up, or for him to tip them up rather to so that the ratepayers and beachgoers can't use them.
At the end of the season, right? At the end of the season, they'd be tipped up, probably put underneath that canopy where the other ones are.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I'm at Doe Lake Beach with my children and I want to sit down at that picnic table and serve my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I don't want a person to be like, no, I leased this property. You can't sit at this table.
Well, I'm assuming his picnic tables will be over near his trailer, not where the other picnic.
But the whole beach space is used, right? Like this, it's by the volleyball net, like the whole, everybody, the beach, the entire beach is used during the summer. There's people playing badminton and there's people playing soccer and there's, so my only concern is to have a permanent structure, like the chip truck, for an example. Our ratepayers don't use that area for anything. You go there to go to the chip truck, whereas you go here to go to the beach, and this person owns a piece of it.
I don't think I want to see a permanent building there. I'd sooner see something on wheels, because if things don't work out, you can be told to leave. I don't think it's a good idea to put a permanent structure in there.
The lease to me feels like ownership of part of this very public area.
I think when I reflected back on the prior establishment that was at that park, I don't know, I can't remember offhand if there was picnic tables or not, but I know that they did take over for music nights and ran electrical cords for events and things they had, and they did have some. I believe they had non-wheeled structures, or at least they covered them very well.
It's the same setup. The only thing that's different is that at the end of the season, it wants to be above the flood elevation and keep the structure there.
Yeah,
so it's ready to go.
This person had a deck that pushed up against, the former had a deck that pushed up against the trailer.
It was mobile.
It was no different. Like we did the same. We put a wooden slab up to step up to order. And it would be, you'd put it in the back of a truck at the end of the season and take it away along with the trailer. The people that were there formerly had a nice
skirting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even around at the back to cover up the tanks and whatnot. But it was certainly not a permanent structure. And I agree with Jerry that I don't think we shouldn't have somebody building on municipal property. I don't think.
Is this an actual structure or is it a trailer?
It would be a structure that he had proposed. The question he had asked was, does it need to be removed at the end of every season? I said historically it has been. And council would need to review if you wanted to have something there year round or permanent. Because his other question was, if it has to be removed every year, he would likely still keep it not on wheels, but have it built in two sections so that it could come apart and be stored as such. The previous leases that we've had have been the wording has been food truck as opposed to a food service business.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, I guess, implied in our other agreements that they're, it was mobile to some extent.
Should be on wheels and mobile. Because then if he doesn't like it, he can move, or if we don't like it, we can have him move easily.
If he goes to the expense to build a permanent structure with to code and with permits and everything else, I think it would be very difficult for us to say this isn't working out.
And permanent structure, he's gonna want hydro.
There's hydro there.
That was hydro.
We put hydro in for the last time.
If he builds a permanent structure, then he's gonna be tied into permanent hydro.
But he's not operating year round, right?
But it's a permanent structure still.
I don't think we should have anything permanent built on our public space.
Is it still mobile if he can forklift it out of there? If it's two sections and he can forklift it out. So the concern would be if it does start flooding, as an example.
Oh, it'll flood.
Get it out.
Yeah, it starts flooding.
Yeah.
Is his intention strictly ice cream or is it more of a food truck as well?
Ice cream with hot dogs and some other food options as well.
Well, we tried to get somebody else in there this summer and that didn't work well. So I'm inclined to try and work with this gentleman.
When was the last time we put the beach out to tender?
So it's been listed on our website as an opportunity.
Okay.
Ongoing.
Yeah, I just removed it yesterday with the bylaw being proposed.
Because I'm actually quite surprised that we don't have more interest. It is an ideal location.
Mm-hmm.
I think if anybody's going to invest in building on public land, it should be us. And I don't think any of us want to be operating an ice cream stand. I think they do it very well, but I don't think it should be permanent.
Well, that's your other option is we own the building and we lease the building
That
to.
would be, there would be potential there. So like, not only do we lease the food service, it's kind of like, the welcome center, right? The town owns it and you rent to whatever, service you want to be using it for.
Well, I think if he can demonstrate that he can move it out of there, I don't think it's a permanent structure then. I don't think the chip truck's on wheels. I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think you could actually move that chip truck without a forklift and a bulldozer.
Or a sawzall.
It's on wheels, but it's not going, it's been sitting there for how many years? It's not going anywhere.
Well, it by law has to be moved every year, so
Yeah.
it's moved.
Chalk line.
Yeah.
Parking in Toronto.
Maybe we look at some options, in terms of mobility. That would make.
Or
more comfortable and get it out of there.
I quite like your idea of us building it. You don't lease the land from us, you lease the building from us.
Then we're down a path of maintenance.
Yeah, I'm doubtful that I'm interested in that.
Here we are worried about the block building.
Tear down the wash.
Got one already, don't just
Yeah.
remodel it.
Well, there would have to be some back and forth with Doug, I think, as well as to making sure that that everything was upheld the way it needs to be. I don't claim to be an expert in the building things, but
The flip side of that is we wouldn't allow somebody to build a residence there because it's in a floodplain.
I think
Pretty poorly to our ratepayers. We're like, listen, you can't build on your property, but you can build on our beach here.
FP 48, you can build if there's an existing structure, you've got to be above the regulatory flood elevation.
Well, and it's different if there's no human habitation.
It's not a residence.
Yeah, it's not resident, so
Well, the other option we've got is we could table this and go back for different options.
And maybe by then Rod will be back. You know, get his opinion on it.
It's not a huge rush because we won't be selling ice cream.
yeah, I think, and I know when I spoke with him, I said, I don't necessarily see, I don't foresee council having a problem with the length of things or entering into an agreement. I think that if we end up hung up on anything, it might be the structure as proposed. So I'm happy to go back and see if there's other assurances that could be provided. And that, if council's comfortable, I can communicate that the opportunity has been removed from the website to accept other proposals while we wait and
Work with him.
work with him to move things forward. So at this point, it's quote unquote earmarked, but not finalized.
Okay, so we'll table this. Everyone's okay with tabling this one?
I would think it would be in his best interest to try and figure out whatever he needs to meet his business requirements, but still something he can get out of there fairly quickly if there is a high water event.
But did you have anything in here? I haven't seen it yet in regards to toilets and stuff.
Like the maintenance of everything.
No, like portable toilets. Anything like that?
Not part of this one.
Not part of this one.
Okay.
But I do believe that there has been some movement in that discussion that we had.
Okay. Only because I know the last guy had one, so.
We have them still there.
Mhm.
There's still a porta potty there.
I know, but the
Oh,
business is gonna bring a lot more,
Okay,
lot
and
more use.
yeah, so we would have to outline that it's at his expense if we're going to.
Could be our first land lease opportunity. We have the ability to do that. Okay, that's tabled. And we are jumping down now to items 33 and 34. So I'm assuming that we want to talk about both of these because we have Ben here in the room and we have Dave Reeser online. The first note is from Allison. So this is item number 33. If you jump down in your agenda, this is the North Pickerel Lake Bridge Replacement Contingency Funds. Gotta find the right resolution here.
So draw attention to the note that there has been some updates to the staff report that was issued last with the agenda package last week with some new information that we had received today. So the one that you had quoted the $56,000 increase to the contingency fund, which is now at 176,000. That's being put forward for information. And I do understand that our road supervisor, Mr. Creaser, as well as Allison, had reviewed the claims coming forward. And at that time, we had reached out and asked if Ben, you might be able to provide a little bit of context into where this came from. We had some discussions with Mr. Creaser as well, but thought it best to hear from you.
Yeah, of course. So just direct the overruns specifically. There's half a unit of clearing and grubbing. So that was an extra of 4,865. The rock removal is what came out most significant. It came out to a total of 278 meters cube, which equates to 106,166 extra. That involved for additional quantity to blast the footings of the bridge and some road rock as well that we encountered in the subgrade. With the rock that we found was earth that didn't have to be excavated. So there's an under of 200 meters cube, which is approximately the overage that we have in rock. And that was a under of 7,900. So the sum between all of those items was about $116,000. We anticipate with the additional clearing and grubbing for the northeast, there's a driveway entrance to the northeast where there was some runoff coming from the right of way towards a resident's house. So we've proposed putting a back on that ditch and a culvert to get that water away from his house and keep it within the right of way down to the river. With that additional clearing and grubbing, there could be topsoil and seed in order to remediate that area. So that's where the extra 4,000 came from for the 120 total there.
Sorry, can you say what the total was before? You said 106.48 and then a plus of 7,900.
Yes, so that was for earth excavation that didn't need to occur because we had removed rock.
But then the total you gave, sorry?
The grand total of the overage is 116,000. The request for 120 is anticipated that there will be topsoil and seed required for the extra area that was cleared and grubbed.
So I think you've actually added the under to the total.
No, the 116,000 that you quoted, the difference to make it up to 120 was for work that will still need to be done to put grass seed down and everything over the remediation.
Oh, okay, because it was like 106 and 48 doesn't equal 116 if you're taking 79. Okay, sorry, thank you, Dave. Sorry, excuse me.
For the 120 would be for the overruns on the tender items. Now there was a significant storm in the end of June, beginning of July, that essentially flooded the site out for a significant amount of time. The contractor has put forward a delay claim, currently being reviewed. However, it could be up to $56,000 for that time. This did put him out of foundation work for approximately 3 weeks. Like I said, we're reviewing at the moment to make sure that it's fair and justified. But price could be up to.
So why is that our fault?
In the general conditions of contract and the OPSS, there is conditions for abnormal weather. This is the case of anything, I think the definition, 1.5 times the standard deviation of the mean. In this case, we've looked at flow records for the river and justified it based on that, or at least the contractor has.
I don't get that.
I think that's fair. Our roads had extra costs this year because of this significant event.
I know that, but for us to be penalized for that, whereas the bridge is being delayed.
Because it wasn't the contractor's fault that it's being delayed. It was the significant weather.
Yeah.
So
So it's also worth noting that we will be looking at building that 56,000 in with our MDRA claim for funding for
Okay.
for remediation.
Okay.
I suppose the other side, Ben, and maybe you can speak to this, is I guess the latency, that my understanding as it was explained to me by a road supervisor of the extra rock being blasted is the test holes didn't identify the rock that they found when they moved in there. So, and now this work was done to blast that rock out, but there wasn't any communication from that point up until now to allow us to address that problem. Can you speak about that, the timing and the communication from the contractor's end?
Yeah. From the contractors end, or if I can think about the total side of it primarily. The boreholes that we used were for a geotechnical investigation to assess the foundation conditions. We utilized that report to estimate our bedrock quantities. The contractor's bid was based on the quantities that we had in the tender. And then the final quantities are determined. The contractor essentially cleans off the rock so that there's no granular or earth on it anymore. And then the contract itself has the contract administrator, in this case Tulloch, survey the cleaned rock. And then the quantity is based off of the survey compared to the theoretical grade, so that we're not paying for any overblasting whatsoever. That was how the quantities were determined from there. And then in our review, make sure that us and the contractor are on the same page when it comes to the final quantity.
And so is it common in those cases when there's, kind of that much overage versus what was originally speculated? I mean, it's understandable that things work out sometimes more than what you anticipated, but is it common to, for communication to happen when there's, in this case, I think we're looking at, maybe not quite 10%, but a healthy amount of overage now. Slippage of 10 to 15%, I suppose, isn't uncommon for larger projects in certain areas, but is there generally a communication process when there's when that is when we discover that there's going to be that much of a change?
Yeah. I mean, we try to update with each PC, so monthly. We like to keep the township updated as these quantities come in. As we review the quantities, the most recent PC ended up being our final.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So we have Dave online. Dave, do you have any comments on this particular item with the cost overruns?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I think we've covered just about everything. Maybe just add to how I understand the geotechnical survey is done with the boreholes, and they're done at the foundations or right at the your footings for either side of the bridge. So those are the isolated areas, the two areas that would have received these two boreholes. And then from there, nothing else would have been done. So being that it's in a bowl, that bowl turned out to be a lot of rock in behind all that earth. Well, there's not that much earth. I guess it was quite a bit of rock. So there was quite a large amount of rock to be removed there. I think going forward, if we had to do this again, we would send out additional equipment to do some more investigation, maybe an excavator to do some test holes in the general area of where the excavations are going to be, to get maybe some better information to get ahead of this. And as Dave said there, alluded to, I guess the question was notice. At what point was notice really kind of given? I know we talked about that ongoing with the quantities, and the contractor, due to the high water levels, they were not able to get into the blasting of the rock until those water levels really did come down. I know I was out there taking pictures all the time, so I've got some of those dates, but it was up for a very long time. And then once the water levels did come down, they were productive. Like, I'll give them that. They were productive and worked away diligently. So I know there's delays, but I think it was they have worked in good faith. So they've done, looks like good quality work along with Tulloch. Tulloch's been great at with the oversight for them, for making sure our quality control is well looked after.
Any questions for Dave or for Ben?
I just have I have a comment. I'm not sure if you did a visual before any of the construction started, when you were preparing the tender, how you would not look at that site and know you were gonna be dealing with extensive rock. I mean, there's rock on both sides of that bridge. It's very, very evident there would be an awful lot of rock there. So I'm a little surprised that the overage, you know, if I'm understanding this right, a lot of the overage is to do with the blasting and the rock removal. Is that correct?
106,000 alone.
I just don't know how that could have been missed based on just the visible appearance.
It's not only that, it's also on the east side road, knowing that that driveway needed to be mediated. Even before the tender was out, that was discussed.
I think had it been caught, the tender would have just been $100,000 more or $150,000 more, right? At which point we would have had to accept that because we needed a bridge. So it's unfortunate that
It
we're,
wouldn't have been affected the way it has been because of the extra time to do it.
I'm sorry, pardon me.
The timing would, they
It wouldn't have been, it would have been allotted for.
would
Okay.
have been allotted for.
And it's quite possible some of the other tenders might have already seen that. And
Some of
we may not have gone with this
They could
tender.
have included it in
Yeah.
their price.
Yeah,
Can,
that's what bothers me.
the driveway you're talking about that has to be accounted for, is that when you're on the north east side of the bridge? Is that the driveway? It's not the one at the top of the hill, it's the one. So are you doing any gamions or anything there, or just gonna slope it off? It's very steep now.
Yeah, beyond that driveway towards the river will be erosion protected with riprap, and they're currently installing gabion baskets.
Yes, okay. Yeah, because I happened to see it very recently, thought they're gonna have to do something with that, okay. And my other question is the total tender had a contingency in it. Is this over and above that contingency?
My understanding is, speaking, I don't have the exact figures, but my understanding is, yes, it is over the contingency.
So the built-in contingency isn't sufficient.
So we've already spent the whole original contingency and we're adding this much more.
I'm not sure if I recall a contingency in the form of tender specifically. Of the contract I'm used to seeing at least.
Dave, do you know if there was a contingency in the original? I'm sure there was, there usually always is.
Always is, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me. I understand there was a contingency for consulting fees. But for the entire contract, I don't recall if there was an allowance for that. I know the tender did come in rather high, so I think that kind of chewed up what we anticipated to spend.
I'm gonna pull up the tender.
My questions.
Any other questions for Dave or Ben? Sure.
No,
So, Dave, it sounds like the 120,000 is an overrun. The 56,000, we still have maybe an ability to get it back based on the weather situation.
A portion of it, yeah.
Yeah. The big hit.
No, I can certainly follow up with Allison with regards to any contingencies built
Yeah,
in
because
the budget that we had, so I'll make a note of that.
Okay.
We had it in one of our agendas, all of the,
I don't know if we saw the final actual tender document, but
perhaps
yeah, we don't normally.
just seen the tender
accepted.
prices.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we saw that summary, but
Okay, so we do have a resolution here, which we'll read in. Consider, whereas the contractor for the North Pickerel Lake Bridge construction project has submitted a claim for an extension of time and additional compensation in the amount of approximately $56,000 citing weather and flood related delays. And whereas the contractor has also incurred a tender quantity overrun resulting in additional costs estimated at $120,000. And whereas the township staff in consultation with the project engineers are currently reviewing the validity and scope of the claim and overrun. Whereas it is prudent to establish a contingency within the project budget to accommodate potential additional costs should they be deemed appropriate upon completion of the review. Therefore, be it resolved, council authorize a contingency allowance of up to $176,000 to address potential additional costs associated with the contractor's claim. and quantity overrun, subject to final review and assessment by township staff and the project engineers, and that should funds be required, they be drawn from the township capital reserves. New mover. Nobody wants to touch it.
I'll move it.
56 was one thing, but
Dorothy and
170.
I don't know what the alternative is though, like, we're like, you know what?
Dorothy and Jerry, yeah, so.
Like, what do you do, right?
Uh,
But I understand what you're saying is if it was included in a different.
Well, we'll
tender,
take it out of college
okay.
budget, right? Tell Chris he just got a little bit less.
Yeah, but that like.
Yeah.
If this had been presented prior to starting the bridge, we could have looked at it a little bit differently.
And hopefully it won't be the full 176. When
Yeah.
staff looks at it, right?
We'll see what it is before it's done. Right, Ben?
Well, this resolution
Save us some money here.
is authorizing them to go ahead with it.
Well, they've already done the blasting. They've already spent the 106,000, right? That part's done. To the additional blasting.
Oh, we should have said Tulloch doesn't get a percentage of the overage.
I don't know the rules like this. Yeah.
Other questions?
Yeah, it'll be a nice bridge when it's done, so.
So we're having our Christmas party, guys.
Under the,
What Christmas party?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All those in favor?
Did you get a seconder on that
We
resolution?
did, it was Jerry.
I thought Jerry started and I second.
Doesn't matter.
Dorothy and Jerry.
All right. I had my hand up. You guys had your hand up, so it's carried.
Damn, should have voted against it.
Okay.
Ben, all good.
I don't know if, Ben, you probably aren't involved in the next one. Pickerel. Oh, this is Dave. It'd be Dave on this one.
Another bridge.
Another bridge,
We have bridge problems.
but you're welcome to stay if you want anyway, Ben.
No bridges, you might as well.
So Dave, we're gonna jump right into the last item on the agenda since you're here. So you don't have to stay. Staff report from the road supervisor dated September 23rd, 2025, titled Emergency Repair for Pickerel and Jack Lake Road Expansion Joint be received and the council authorized the allowance of $80,000 plus HST for costs related to the emergency expansion joint repair on the west side of the Pickerel and Jack Lake Road Bridge. A mover just to get it on the table. Dorothy. Second. Wendy. So over to you, David, a bit of background on this one.
Thank you very much. Through you, Mr. Mayor. The initial problem occurred right around the time of the flooding, and we believe it's a direct result of that flooding. And the staff is going to pursue the claim, the flooding claim, to put this in with the flooding claim. The expansion joint has come completely free and up. We have it held back in place with some temporary asphalt or cold mix holding it in place, but it's not operating as intended by the manufacturer, and it does require emergency repairs. Working with Tulloch, they've put together a design. They've contacted and worked with the expansion joint supplier and put a design together. From dealing with Watson Bowman, the supplier, they've provided a list of two preferred installers, contractors, and we did reach out to them to get quotes. We did only receive one quote back from one of the contractors who's able to complete the work in October. Hopefully we get it done early October. This work, it's very specialized and it needs to be done in accordance with the specifications set out by the supplier to ensure that you get quality work that will last a long time and will stand up to the traffic, the pounding of traffic as well. So there's not a whole lot of room to get out and put tenders out and get public offers on this. So it being an emergency, it's recommended that we move forward with this contractor and complete the emergency repair. There is the cost is about $65,000 plus about Tulloch upwards of 15, maybe a little bit less from Tulloch if we can, but Tulloch needs to be involved when they do the installation as well to ensure that the quality control is measures are complete in accordance with the design. A detour is required. It will take probably a week. They're estimating a week, 4 to 5 days. So a detour is required to close a whole road down there and detour traffic around. And we'll notify all the school, the emergency response people, fire department, as well as put out public notices once we have a firm date put in place.
Are there risks, Dave, of leaving this over the winter? Like this is something we have to get done before?
Well, yes, there is. The expansion joint holds everything out to allow that gap for thermal expansion. And should that gap be filled in, then you don't have that room to move. And the rule is, from my understanding, building bridges, in my career, you don't be careful where you build things too strong because it'll break somewhere. You have to build a weak point into a bridge. Otherwise, it will break somewhere else. So it could be very costly if it did happen to buckle somewhere else. So this is the weak point for it to move for both seismic activity and thermal expansion, and it should be addressed. It should not be left. There really won't be any savings if there's. It has to be. They both contractor or not have to complete it. They have to do the traffic control. Remove the old one, put it in. All these little costs add up to the final expense, and the final expense is not unreasonable amount of money. It's for the service that's being provided.
Questions for Dave?
I wanted the township to invest in boats a long time ago, but you guys want bridges.
So between this one, Dave and the other 56,000, are these both things that we can make claims? Like, I know.
They will be included in the claims, yes.
Okay, because that's the same grant money that Strong got last week.
There's a lot of stringent criteria, a lot of, there's a lot of, I guess, background research and justification that gets done on the provincial side. We have made sure to cross our T's and dot our I's. It's noted in the report that the weather event is the prime suspect for the cause for this. We're going to put it forward for some level of reimbursement, but certainly the impacts that we have seen across all of the areas, from roads to ditching to bridges, and what we've seen here at this property, it is the total adds up to more than what we need to justify a claim. So we have been treating it accordingly. All of it will get lumped in, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed that there's a claim there.
But it'll probably be a year before we would see that.
Money for Strong was up there about this year.
2024, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll take a while for sure.
And there's a number of municipalities that were impacted by that particular flood, so we're in a queue somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, we already have engineers on it. Right, so the evidence we need is already
could have been bad
there, right? Like Tulloch is going to be reviewing the 56,000 one. So that's fantastic. That's what we need to include, right?
Maybe he'll do it for 10.
Yeah.
$10.
I didn't know it was a negotiation.
That's an awkward smile, Jerry.
Chris knows me, it's okay. Jerry was a bit of a card.
We have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? And already spent.
It's kind of ironic that at the last meeting, Dave, you said, I'm just gonna put up drywall and paint it. Now you're like, no, we'll just throw some asphalt in there. We're gonna make it work.
Okay, thanks, David. You're welcome to stay, but I think we're done with you for now. And
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate you coming in and explaining.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Careful on those bridges out there.
It's looking well right now.
Okay, we're back up to reports. So back up to item 6. We have, first up is our
Thank you, Frank.
Thank, building permit report for September.
Kayla was off the last meeting, that's why you're getting it in a second.
So everything's coming through. Okay. I see that.
It was nice to see some of them fail and reasons why, but they missed a lot.
Well, I came in and said, Doug, you're the toughest marker I've ever seen because I failed mine. Our addition got failed, and it failed because there were brackets underneath the 6x6 posts that we didn't put in. Everything else was, I said, 99% of it's right, and I still failed. Like what marker? So that's why you see so many fails on there, because if they fail, they fail. Doesn't matter what it is.
But he should have said missing
Missing a bracket.
missing bracket.
Or just put missing pieces.
Yeah,
We're gonna be very
Yeah.
confused.
still pretty busy in the building department, so that's good. Next up is the DSAB notice of Sean Cotton's official.
And I gotta thank Shar for fixing my computer. 10 minutes before my DSAB meeting, somebody, I guess during the day, hacked my email,
Well, you're kidding.
but they never got my email. So I got locked out. And then now what the heck do I do?
So you can get into that.
And just luckily Allison walked in at home and I was able to attend off of my phone
Was that right?
on a Zoom.
Yeah.
I was dead in the water.
Drives of technology.
Yeah. And then I brought the computer in the shower the next day and say, can you help me?
For that very reason, Shar will now be the technical services department.
So I take.
I'm gonna hang that mantle up.
Only for council.
But guess what? It also messed up Diane's computer. So when I got home, I'll fix that for you.
Awesome, Jerry. Awesome.
So not only are you IT, you are also the
A
teacher.
good feature. Yeah.
So was there a DSAB meeting or was this just something that came?
No, this is just saying that Psalm made it.
Okay.
This was after the meeting.
All right. We also have Omega OPP Detachment Board report from September 10th. And nobody from here would be attending, right?
And there were no notes, just, it was discussed.
Once I get the minutes, I know.
Oh,
I'll put,
Ellen?
yeah.
It's more than we've ever got in the past.
it's a new group.
Yeah, I know.
Next up, the September 15th Historical Society meeting. Sure.
All right, let's see what's going on there. I think both of the heritage centers are winding down for the season. And they're looking at getting a heat pump at the red building. We're gonna get some information and come back with the committee. And instead of doing a membership drive, they're going to do, Nieves had a good idea of suggesting a Friends of the Heritage Center, sort of like Friends of the Library, where you can have a membership, but it's less of a commitment.
Yeah.
Membership.
Good idea, actually.
An intimidating word and would gear more towards seasonal. And then the Halloween event, we're starting to plan that. The same setup as last time, running from 6 until 8. And then I've reached out to Value Mart. They're going to donate a bunch of drinks for the kids. This year, they're going to also mix it up with drinking boxes, which is kind of good. And that's about it.
It's a Friday this year too, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yay.
Getting back to the heat pump is for the red building.
Mhm.
So we're gonna heat the red building?
I believe so. I don't know a lot of specs.
You have to.
So we have a meeting coming
If
up.
you have a heat pump, it's cost effective. But you got two problems. You need heat in there, but you also got dehumidify, so you need a air heat exchanger also. But that'll be discussed whenever they
So we have a
put
meeting,
even rod, so.
meeting scheduled on the first week of October with out at the Watt Farm that Mayor Ward's been requested to attend as well. I guess now is a good time to give the update that we have submitted our final claim for the red building. So we had our site visit last week with our representative from the NOHFC who toured, took pictures to I guess facilitate the final sign off. So I'm very happy that process is now wrapped up and all seems to be well. I did plant the seed that there was I was very open about the fact that there was some confusion with regard to and won't get into this, and I hope we don't get into this, but between the intended purpose of storage versus intended purpose of exhibition space. We all know that, we've been through that a couple of times. So I had suggested that it may be considered in the future that we reapply because for the money that we spent on that building, it's a good storage building. It's a good shell. You weren't going to get a turnkey finished project, no matter how you design that, for the money that was spent on that building. And my suggestion was, if we look at another kind of a quote unquote, I don't like to use the term phase two, but if we look at a phase two, where in which we ask for more funding for things like heating, the extra provisions that we need to make public occupancy possible. I had also mentioned that one of the things that was stopping that from happening was the implement shed being too close to the building. As well as some of the grade to get up into the back of that facility. So there would need to be some provisions for accessibility. There would need to be provisions for heating and cooling, and potentially some other items to be discussed. And I think that we would go back looking for 90% if we wanted to move down that. And I think in my email, I had suggested that I think that would be about the only reasonable way that any additional work could be done to that building, unless council decided otherwise.
So we've used up all of our grant for the initial work that was done, like the grant money is spent.
It was spent before we had to remediate all of the plumbing. The only thing that we got back from them in terms of a claim was the amount held back until the project, the final reports and claims were submitted. They always hold back a percentage. So we asked for that. So the project did come in slightly over budget, but again, we know the issues we've had with wrapping up the plumbing.
Right.
So yeah, that's where that stands currently. Now, if we are to get a game plan put together for what changes could make that a more usable or functional exhibit space or event space or what have you, then we'd have to gather those costs, those quotes, and determine how the remainder would be funded if we are approved for any additional funding. Seemed like there would be an appetite to discuss it with NOHFC anyway.
Okay. And that's 90% dollars?
Yeah, so it's 90% funding, yeah. Would be the top end. I'm not sure, depending on this being a phase two. Like we've had very good luck with the Katrina Community Center is a fantastic example of the good luck that we've had with provincial funding and the results that we've achieved through that. I think when we go to do our 2 or 3 year post activities follow-up report, it will look extremely promising based on the work that our recreation team is doing and committee. So I think we've got a great track record. And we've been very transparent with some of the challenges that we've encountered. But to Jerry's point of humidity, I've been in and out of that building all season long, and you're looking at extremely high, like to the point of, between 60 and 80%. And ideal is typically, correct me if I'm wrong, Jerry, but more in the 30 to 50 range.
Yeah, a little bit better than that.
So
in the winter, it'll go above 80.
Putting artifacts in there for storage purposes.
Can't do it.
It would create some risk for those artifacts. If they wanted to put the newspapers in there, you wouldn't want to put it in with that level.
Well, no, I don't think the intent.
If you look at the doors that are installed, they're already rusting.
Yeah, I don't think.
And it's a brand new building.
Have that.
No, it was the outdoor stuff.
It was
The
the,
hearse and things like that.
that was the type of stuff that was supposed to be out
The
there.
hearse isn't ours. It isn't the historical societies.
It's on loan, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think we can put some information together. We can discuss with the Historical Society and bring something back for council's consideration. see where you'd like to go with it.
Diane told me I'm not allowed.
Not allowed to. Get involved?
Yeah.
I believe my,
And I think Barry told her, what there, but I just said, yeah, that Barry's right. And I sat with a guy up in Sunridge when I was up there at the Green Energy Building there. And he was beside us and he does the air-to-air heat exchanger on buildings and whatnot. So oh, that's a great idea. But I was thinking the hatchery.
Oh,
Okay, any questions, other questions for Shar? Dave? No. Okay, next up is the informal tri-committee meeting of September 15th.
so we do have 7 minutes on your,
Yeah, there's minutes in here. Sorry, I'm not, I'm on the right page apparently.
Oh, yeah,
Just changes, that's all.
item 10.
Number 10, yeah, okay. Yeah, so those meetings are going very well, actually. So we are hoping to finalize this library agreement. There was a couple of changes to be made to it. You can see from the minutes there, we've discussed McMurray Monteith. We've decided to move forward with this agreement with just these parties. And if McMurray is interested, then we're leaving it up to them to come forward. We're trying to keep things simple. The timeline for a library build was discussed very generally, but more to the point was we had the interim agreement for the building of the fire hall, and we'd like to take the same approach for our building of the library. I know we're not right there yet, but we would like to do an interim agreement for the build that make sure everybody is clear who's responsible for what. And also the percentages for the new library build. We're looking at including the same percentages as what we have for the operating of the library, which I want to make sure council is okay with that. That's how the approach that was taken for the fire hall. So we want to make sure that council's on board for the same for a library build. We're going to continue to meet monthly. And in the fire agreement, you're going to see the reforming of specific committees for each shared service, starting with the fire. And it would be 1 or 2 members from each council. The administering municipalities clerk CAO would attend, and the chair would be appointed by the administering municipality. We're considering quarterly meetings, and the purpose is to have better communication about shared services and have each of the councils feel they're more informed and can, not that they're going to direct the management, the administration, but they're at least going to be able to provide some comment and maybe some ideas as to dealing with certain hiccups or issues that may come with each shared service. So I'd like council's input on whether you like that idea or don't like that idea. It will require more meetings, and we're going to look at it on a service by service basis. And quarterly meetings is just a suggestion. If we determine that there's no need for quarterly meetings, twice a year is enough, or whatever, then we're open to that. Dave, can you think of anything I missed there?
no, I think I might maybe just build on a couple of points there. And I think one point that I wanted to make a note of is that I was recognized at the committee based on some conversations that we had at our follow-up meeting to Tri-Council, that the committee did recognize the necessity of including the library board on the conversations for the new build moving forward. There was definitely some regret expressed in how quick we had to get an agreement on the table and not having members of the board present for that. And I think he saw that commentary come out of the tri-council meeting. As far as the funding formula for the shared service agreement piece, I think on top of the agreement for the library build and wanting to have that same percentage type model built into that, was that before we can really consider any next steps with the library, we need to figure out who's paying what across the board for the build and everything else, and have that agreed to by all parties. And then we can look at things like the engineers, the architects. I think I brought up a number of times that it's really difficult to move components of the project forward on the I've got 5, you got 10 kind of model. It would be nice to have that built in and commitment from all municipalities involved to move that forward. And as far as the fire service committee agreement, that point you hit the nail on the head of it's meetings as needed, but what that would allow for is, I think we've all experienced, qualms that have come up with one point or another that get discussed at council tables, some of which sometimes get brought up at tri-council, but this committee meeting format would enable those comments. They would provide that vehicle for those comments to go back outside of just isolated council meetings and outside of, maybe belaboring tri-committee, right? It allows a good vehicle for that feedback to get back and forth. And they discussed quarterly, they discussed, maybe it's semi-annual or as needed, as called by the chair, recommended by a member. So, I think they've built in terms under the agreement that enable it to be as flexible as it needs to be based on, because it's going to survive multiple council periods, right? Multiple terms of council. So as we know, people change. Sometimes the need arises and the need goes away. So I think they needed to have the flexibility built in to cover all bases.
The one thing we did touch on very briefly regarding the library build is location. And we kind of skimmed over it. We didn't really park on it for too long, but I'd like to know whether council is satisfied with the current location for the new build.
Don't like it at all.
The selected one moved behind. Yeah.
Because at this point, I think that is what is being considered.
I think we should call Rod and get his opinion. No, but I don't think it's gonna happen. It doesn't sound like there's any plan for it to happen in the immediate by any means, so.
There was certainly some question as to ownership of that chunk of property and when it may be turned over. And there was some confusion around the library as to who was going to own the land the fire hall, who was going to own the land for the fire hall. It was communicated that would go into all 3 partners, the land, the building, everything else. I had brought up during that meeting as well that the ownership structure that exists now is what's being changed for everything new moving forward. So there was some question around the severance and ownership of that property. And I was able to illustrate to them that we're currently walking through that process. And it, once it's owned by, if the property is owned by the municipality, it's pretty easy to walk through that process. And I mean, we put the request in a couple of weeks ago, and we're already seeing some movement on getting that lot severed. So there was some question around, I think that there's an assumption from 2 of the partners that's going to be moving forward, and that is the preferred location.
Right. So I guess if Armour Council is not satisfied with that, I do think we're in a position where we need to let our partners know sooner rather than later. I know the build's not happening now, but I don't think it's fair to them for them to assume that we're building there if Armour is adamant that we're not building there. And I don't know how strongly we feel that that's the not right location.
I think the location discussion, it's fair what you're saying, but I think the location discussion can take place when we are building, because we could be in a very different position when we're actually ready to build. Other things could have became available. There's a lot of, potential opportunity that we don't know about until we're actually ready to build. So I think until we have we're going to be building, like we bought this land, we tendered the land, and at that point we started, until we're there with the library. I don't think it's necessary to say this is exactly where it's going to go one day.
Well, it also, I think it has more to do with the assumptions around that location and that basically that's Burke's Falls contribution. If we could take that all off the table and you could just look at the dollars and cents, 46.17% or whatever it is for Armour, that's the money you're gonna have to come up with. 35% or whatever it's gonna be for Burke's Falls, so that they know. And you can look at it and say, well, we can't realistically do this for 6 years. That's, if we put money in reserves, we can do it in 6 years. But up to now, we just keep going in circles and making assumptions that that contribution is the only thing that Burke's Falls is gonna make, and that's caused a lot of the problems.
Well, and unfortunately, we know the value of the land, potentially when it was valued, it would have been over a year now. Unfortunately, we don't know what it's going to cost to get it building ready, right? So if they donate something or their contribution is 117,000, but we as 3 municipalities need to add $300,000 to get it build ready.
Well, at some point, I thought the statement was made by Burke's Falls that the land would be provided building ready, but
Chris did say that.
I thought I had heard
Yes, he
that
did.
at one point.
It's in the tri-council minute. Yeah.
Okay.
But Chris said he wasn't,
No way they can do it.
well, Chris said he was he wasn't in one of the meetings I was at, wasn't prepared to say the value, because today's value and the value when we actually
Right.
like sign it over could be very
I
different.
guess I want to be clear when I attend these meetings that if Armour is very, very hesitant about that particular piece of property, if there's any discussion about moving forward with any more soil testing or any other work for that piece, I want to be clear that that's not.
We're not interested in investing any further.
Okay. Okay, that's all I need at this point for that. Thank you.
It's good that they're going so well.
Yeah, the meetings are making.
Yeah, not like-
Obviously, you got the right people on
We
the
are making
committee.
progress. We are making.
Was the idea, and with the idea of these committees with like the chair of that committee or some representative from the committee would report to the tri-council meeting, if we still have the tri-council meetings every 3 months?
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
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 And hopefully those committees build a consensus themselves about, this is this service and this is what's important, this is what we need to do, and that is relayed to the tri-council. I mean, we all know that tri-council it's not a great open discussion format. It hasn't been, it never has been.
So,
Since we did away with the smaller committees and went with that. As far as a good communication tool, I don't think it's been very effective at all.
no,
So we're hopeful that if nothing else, we can communicate better through the smaller.
and more is getting done. With the committee, with the smaller committee, more gets done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In terms of the agreements and that sort of thing.
It's nice when you can get around a group of people that works well together, and you can have candid conversations. Like there's been a couple of times where it's like I'm not looking to pull any like to smooth this over. This is
Yeah.
some concern, and it's generally received fairly openly, and
Yeah.
I think that's your opportunity to be candid. Whereas in a tri-council, when you've got members of the public and it's less political.
Well, it's not a political theater. It's.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you trying to say, Dave?
Not a thing.
Observations.
It's great that it's a successful avenue.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other questions for Wendy? Or Dave on that one? Thanks, Wendy. We had a library meeting, but we don't have our library rep. Navis, I don't know if you wanted to touch on anything from your September 17th library board meeting while we've got you, because Rod's not here tonight.
You're muted.
I guess you need to hear me, don't you?
Yes, that's better. Thank
Sorry
you.
about this. Yes, thank you. No, nothing transpired that that needs to be really shared and take your time. So yes, moving forward as always. So yeah, waiting for the tri-council meeting in October and see how that transpires.
Okay. Thanks, Navis.
Thank
That's
you.
the quickest library report we've ever had.
Tell Rod.
Yeah.
Setting the bar high, Nevis.
Yeah, thanks, David.
Okay.
Okay, next up, this one might not be as quick. The ACE meeting from September 18th. Dave and Wendy. Wendy, over to you again.
Well, I've calmed down finally since this meeting. So Dave's reports here. We spent a fair amount of time discussing the proposed agreement that you see here. So this is the 2-year agreement that was supposed to get in place to take us through 26 and 27, at which time our CNO funding will be over with. We had a couple members start right away to say that they would be not discussing or voting on this agreement because it was incorrect and wrong. And so the village of South River and the village of Brooks Falls are included in here because they are currently our existing partners. We've been given notice from both parties that they feel that they're going to be out at the end of 25 because in their minds, that's the only commitment they had made was to the end of this 25. So Brooks Falls resolution did speak to, they were open to change that decision within the year that they had provided notice. South River, we all thought we were making significant progress with South River, but obviously we didn't make progress, and their board member took offense to some of my comments and resigned immediately at the meeting. So we are looking for a new member from South River to get us to the end of the year. I don't anticipate we'll see a member from South River between now and then.
It may have made it to their council meeting of this week, which I believe happened earlier today. But yeah, we'll wait to see if there's any correspondence.
From that, yeah. The rest of the parties have no issue with this agreement. So, I mean, my take on it is there was nothing wrong with this agreement. It was drafted as a continuation of and leaving the door open for our members that are currently involved to stay involved. We spent a lot of time trying to look at ways to cut costs for ACE. We changed the funding formula to a percentage of levy, and we went to a 2 staff member option, removing significant costs to the ACE board. I was very hopeful that that would keep all parties that we currently have at the table. So I was very disappointed to hear that we're still going to lose 2 members. But what's really important is the members that are at the table believe in ACE. What got me hot water at the meeting. I still stand by that statement.
I think it's an accurate statement.
I stand by that statement. If you need to believe in what we're doing to be at the table, and you need to portray that to your council. So after that, what else happened? Well, you'll see the resolutions. We've instructed staff to proceed with the 2-staff model and the percentage of levy and go forward with our 26 budget based on that. And that's about it.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that the comment that was made that the representative from South River took offense to was simply that all of the municipalities that were on the agreement had agreed in principle to go after the CNO funding years ago. We were all party to it. That doesn't run out until 2027. So our take was, well, if you said you were in and we went after that money and Armour was the lead municipality going after that grant, then it makes sense that you would stay in as long as the term.
Sounds like a fair and accurate statement.
And that's all that was said. And that's when.
Yeah.
That's when Zoom heated up.
Oh, it was a Zoom meeting?
It was for this particular person, yeah. It's not as effective walking out of a meeting on Zoom.
Computer down?
Yeah, you just close the computer.
Well, and when I've read through the minutes from the previous meeting, and this has been an ongoing problem, that member was not at that meeting. So they missed some of the
back and
some
forth.
of the back and forth. So they come to this meeting and say, well, no, this is wrong.
Without context, yeah.
Yeah.
I disagree with that. Anyway,
I think you're well informed. So I think if you're speaking to something, you're speaking facts. So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate sometimes.
yep.
We don't know what other people are bringing to the table.
So at this point, we need to just move on, and the positives that the rest of the board bring to the meeting is what we need to focus on and move forward.
Questions for Wendy, Dave? So we have two resolutions. Actually, these are related to the brand alignment and regional signage strategy. So this is for some grant money as well, right?
Did you want me to do it 2 minutes or less?
Yeah, let's do that before
Pretty
we.
brief.
Yeah.
So the. Okay, I'm gonna nail this with this intro. So essentially for the last 2.5 years, we have been auditing all of the signage in the region, looking at replacing wayfinding signage, hopefully getting some gateway signage in Perry and or Powassan saying welcome to Almaguin, as well as some location signage, and working with the MTO to use their community signage program so that we can have non-broken wayfinding strategies. Long story short, the project has been, we thought it was going to be $250,000. We've trimmed that up with the quotes that we have to $200,000 to be funded from the ACE Reserve, which is currently sitting around $44,000. We're contributing $25,000 into this project on behalf of partners. These resolutions are the last pieces that we need to hit this submit button. We have two funds going in, two requests going in, one to the Rural Ontario Development Program and the other one to FedNor's Northern Ontario Development Program. So we have a resolution for each addressing our contributions on behalf of ACE partners with any cost overruns, which we've built in some contingency to make sure that we're not going to overrun it.
I think we should have one in Perry, one in Powassan, but then repeatedly have you're still in Almaguin.
Yeah,
So people are like,
Every kilometer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Each town as you get to, like, just kidding, Almaguin's huge, still there.
Dave, the two partners that are leaving are included in this application, are they not? Signage for the municipalities?
This is going to be a discussion that I'm sure is had in upcoming board meetings. The other note to that, which I'm sure others may contend, is that realistically, those reserve funds include other members that withdrew as well.
Yeah.
And I think that there will be discussion. I won't go any further than that. We will have to discuss that as a board.
Yep.
And I'll probably withhold a whole pile of comment, just let the board do what they're going to do. But yes, it is built in to include.
I assume so, yeah.
Okay. So two resolutions similarly worded. Council Township of Armour hereby agrees to be the lead administrating municipality for the Almaguin Highlands brand alignment and regional signage project. Furthermore, the Township of Armour agrees to be the lead municipality on behalf of the Almaguin Community Economic Development Department and ACE partners for an application for financial assistance from the Northern Ontario Development Program offered through FedNor. If the application is successful, the Township of Armour through ACE budget agrees to contribute the required applicant share of $25,000 plus any additional cost overruns. I got Wendy and I got Dorothy.
So are the other municipalities sitting at the table comfortable with Armour taking the lead?
Yeah.
Kind of have to. We're the ones holding the reserves.
Yeah. We hope.
Okay, I just wouldn't want it to be insulting because like I think there's been some.
In the past, in former economic development organizations, we would share the administrative burden of funding. Since Armour has taken ACE on, we have we have normally done them.
As long as nobody's feeling, slighted or anything that we.
Come forward.
Okay. I feel like it would if it was going to.
covering the costs. Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Carried. And I'll hit repeat button. Council Township of Armour hereby agrees to be the lead administrating municipality for the Omega Highlands Brand Alignment and Regional Signage Project. Furthermore, the Township of Armour agrees to be the lead municipality on behalf of the Omega Community Economic Development Department and ACE Partners for an application for financial assistance from the Rural Ontario Development Program offered through the Ontario Ministry of Rural Affairs. The application is successful. The Township of Armour, through ACE budget, agrees to contribute the required applicant share of $25,000 plus any additional cost overruns. Wendy?
Sure.
Jerry? All those in favor? That's carried as well.
I'd like it noted, Jerry, that my intro spiel was under 2 minutes.
It was under one, I think. I thought you were just, that was your
Okay.
opening
man.
paragraph.
Yeah.
Agricultural Society, we don't have Rod here. Was anybody else at an ag meeting? Probably not. Okay.
I was at a meeting where they spoke and they're getting their report together for how much they, the fair made.
How much they made at the fair. Yeah. Any other reports that we've missed? Okay. I do have one update on the healthcare side. There is a big announcement coming on Thursday that I will be at, but I can't say anything more. So the hospital foundation is hosting an event on Thursday. There'll be big news coming in.
Maybe our letter writing has done good.
No, it's way beyond that.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's take a break until 8:50, and then we'll get into correspondence. We'll sign off for 10 minutes. We'll be back at 8:50. We are back to correspondence. Items 12 through 23. And we have a couple of resolutions along the way. Council Township of Armour supports the municipality of Blue Water, and urges the province of Ontario to immediately implement other service delivery models that are being successfully modeled elsewhere in the province to address the early childhood educator shortage. Mover. Dorothy. Jerry. Wendy.
But given the issue, I mean, the shortage is being addressed province-wide. Their issue is that their after-school program is closed.
So it's not going to get solved by this.
A lot of the schools in different areas have to look after this.
Well, the DSAB does ours, right?
I know that because the school doesn't do it. We do it for them.
Well, and now like a private company does it at the public school here. So there are solutions outside of taking it to the minister. We do need more ECEs, but because they're school age children, you don't actually even have to have ECE to run this after school program.
DSAP's still involved though.
Okay. Either way.
Here, but yeah, it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt to support them,
No,
even though it may not be effective.
our area is different than their area.
Mhm.
Okay, all those in favor? Work Blue Water. And I think the rest is just correspondence.
No, you have one more.
Well, I thought that was in unfinished. No, you're right. Okay. What's the future of community natural gas expansion? Okay, this is a long one. Whereas the province posted ERO 0250-923 consultation on the future of community natural gas expansion, seeking feedback from municipalities, Indigenous communities, and other stakeholders on how phase 3 could best support access to natural gas for community development. And whereas expanding access to natural gas is identified as a tool to support affordability and economic growth in Ontario communities, with phases 1 and 2 estimated to enable connections for approximately 17,000 buildings across 59 communities and 16 projects completed to date. Whereas the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, FONUM, is working towards its housing and employment land goals that contribute to Ontario's broader objective to build at least 1.5 million homes by 2031, recognizes that timely service solutions, including natural gas where appropriate, can help these targets. And whereas Ontario's energy future relies on a balance of affordability, reliability, and sustainability by leveraging a mix of energy solutions, including natural gas, electricity, and emerging energy technologies to meet growing community needs. And whereas natural gas continues to play a critical role in supporting energy affordability, economic competitiveness, and enabling housing and employment growth across the province. Therefore, be it resolved that Council Township of Armour supports the ministry's consultation on the future of community natural gas expansion, phase 3, and endorses access to a natural gas as an option to other energy solutions to advance the Township of Armour's housing, employment, lands, and economic development objectives. Furthermore, that staff forwards this resolution to Graydon Smith, Perry Sound, Muskoka MPP, Ministry of Energy and Mines, the Ontario Energy Board, AMO, and neighboring municipalities. Dorothy and Wendy. All those in favor? Carried. Okay. There is another one here. Two more. Oh, you're right. Council Township of Armour supports the municipality of St. Charles and requests the government of Ontario support and approve the expansion of natural gas infrastructure to rural municipalities such as St. Charles by undertaking a review of the Ontario Energy Board's profitability index model to incorporate a northern cost adjustment that fairly accounts for the higher costs of construction in northern Ontario caused by terrain challenges such as bedrock and wetlands, as well as the realities of distance, climate, and lower population density to ensure that rural and northern communities are not disadvantaged in accessing natural gas infrastructure. Be it resolved, the Township of Armour requests the province to embed northern natural gas expansion as a priority in Ontario's integrated energy plan, regional economic growth strategies.
Sure.
Jared. And seconder, Dorothy. All those in favor? Got the natural gas happening tonight. And Council of Township of Armour supports the Blue Water Recycling Association's correspondence regarding proposed amendments to the Resource Recovery and Circular Economy Act. Speaking of our previous conversations with Amy.
She was supportive of this one.
Yeah.
Wendy, Jerry, all those in favor? That's carried.
Whenever I receive anything like that, I
Pour it over to her, yeah.
Very well informed.
she is.
Some new programs from the province. Training firefighters. Build Canada Homes, who have now named their CEO or whatever their head is. Former Toronto councillor. And we're down to. 23 was the funding that we mentioned earlier, the flood recovery funding that Strong Valley just got. Based on issues they had in 2024.
Remember that in that, to be honest.
I don't either. I assumed it was the 20, like the.
We didn't, and I looked at it and thought, no, there's no way they'd have that.
Stack quick.
But I don't remember that.
June 23rd and 24th.
Yeah.
2024.
Must have been a similar kind of event.
Yeah,
Heavy rain.
very localized, yeah.
Okay, next up, we have a small change to the library agreement, just based on some feedback from Ryerson. Under dispute resolution, in the event of any dispute arising out of or in connection with this agreement, participating municipalities agree to first attempt to resolve the matter through mediation. If mediation fails, the wording changes, the dispute shall be referred to arbitration rather than may.
But did they not sign it at the tri-council meeting?
Yeah, we signed it too. They must have caught it afterwards.
They didn't pass the bylaw.
But it says we didn't pass the bylaw.
No.
No, they passed a resolution.
That's the rest.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, okay.
That's fine.
Council Township of Armour approves an administrative amendment to Schedule A of bylaw 52-2025, being a bylaw to enter into a library agreement specifically to revise the dispute resolution clause to state, if mediation fails, the dispute shall be referred to arbitration in accordance with the rules of the Ontario Arbitration Act.
Sure.
Got Dorothy, and I got Jerry. All those in favor? That's carried. And we're seeing a few support resolutions on the family health team governance, which is nice to see.
I started listing them individually on the agenda and then it started taking up too much space, so I lumped them all together. You're getting a lot.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
Thank you, Shar. Some resolution from Jolly with their contribution for the human health resources recruiter. Guess it reduced it to $500, but that's fine. Item 27, annual Halloween party at the Burks Falls Arena. And we have a resolution with a donation amount for this year. I don't know what we.
We've given them in the past.
Last year it was 200.
Okay, so the mover can make a recommendation. Council Township of Armour approves a donation in the amount of blank to the Burks Falls Lions Club to support the annual children's Halloween party.
$250.
$250 from Jerry.
But it can only be used for toothbrushes.
Right,
I'll second that.
Jerry, Wendy,
I can't believe the increase in candy at Walmart.
Oh, I know.
is that right?
Oh,
Oh,
chocolate, try and buy chocolate.
chocolate's really.
It's ridiculous.
Costco has a bag of chocolate chips. I was having this conversation, but it's not, doesn't matter. Never mind.
We have a $250 donation, all those in favor. And that's carried.
Thank you, guys.
I thought you were gonna thank me for stopping. Thank you.
For both. Okay, we are down to donation request proposal for phase 2 environmental site assessment. So this is for the Peggs Mountain Road property. I'll read the resolution and then Dave can bring us up to speed. Council Township of Armour hereby approves the proposed proposal submitted by Cambium Inc. to undertake a phase 2 environmental site assessment for the municipal Peggs Mountain Road development at an estimated cost of $13,040 excluding HST. And further authorizes Tulloch Engineering to proceed with coordinating and managing the implementation of this assessment in accordance with the proposal. I'll be able to get it on the table. Dorothy,
Sure.
Jerry. Over to you, Dave, for.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So it's just a section of the property they want to do the assessment for. And I would suspect that there was some refuse dumped there through the highway build project. It's probably just a bit of a dumping site for materials that they want to poke in and take a look at. So it is the chunk of land they want to look at is a small square in the say the north east corner of the property that doesn't affect the fire hall, doesn't affect any of the other proposed ideas that we've looked at. It's on the other side of the ravine. So I think it
For the
makes,
off ramp.
yeah.
No, I know where you mean, but I'm just trying to remember. I think a lot of the fill went down because they had bought the house and went down in
Yeah.
behind.
They have aerial imagery from the phase
Yeah.
1 that they did that shows when they were doing.
You'll have a good idea.
So they won't have to do the whole.
Just that section.
Just that section.
If anyone's interested in the phase 1 study, I can forward it through. I just didn't want to include it in the agenda package because it's very large.
We gotta do it.
Yeah.
Gotta build this
There.
fire hall. Everybody's asking, when it's being built? Oh, it's coming.
You haven't had your tour yet? Great.
Any other questions for Dave? All those in favor? That's carried. Good. All right, but we have. Did that one thing. So We have a renewal for Bob Miller for the annual planning retainer. So this is for the 2026 and 2027 years. That's in your package, item 29. Have a resolution associated with that, but based on previous discussions, we also have a resolution to go out to tender, go out to RFP, which Mr. Miller would be free to respond to, but we would be going out to the masses to see.
Send it to the masses.
I think it's time.
Well, and like you said, he can apply. He can.
And he can apply.
Yeah. There will come a point of time where we're gonna have to do this. And right now is the time, I think, to maybe look at it before you get a new council in there. This will give a 1 year.
Yeah.
New council.
There
Jerry.
could be. There could be.
Okay, so we'll read in this version. Whereas the council, Township of Armour has received a quote from Robert Miller Land Use Planning Services for planning services for 2026, 2027. And whereas council recognizes the importance of maintaining openness, transparency, and accountability in the procurement of professional services. Now therefore be it resolved that the council Township of Armour hereby acknowledges receipt of the quote submitted by Robert Miller Land Use Planning Services. And further that staff be directed to issue a formal request for proposal for planning services for the 26-27 term in accordance with the township's procurement policy and in a manner that ensures an open, transparent, and competitive process. Further, that Robert Miller be formally invited to participate in the RFP processes along with other qualified proponents to ensure a fair and competitive selection process.
Well said.
Sorry, but do we need to say that
Yeah.
Robert Miller will be invited to as opposed to just putting it into town?
No, don't have to, but it's
Okay.
sort of a nice way of doing it.
His long history with it.
Oh, okay, I just didn't know if like if we're gonna be posting a job and we're gonna specifically call this one person.
Yeah, no, I
That's, it's okay to do that?
concerns, it's a little different.
Yeah.
Okay.
In response to his.
Okay, as long as it's.
I got Jerry as a mover. And with a second. Any other questions on this one? How long do we think, so is the goal to try and get this done before the end of the calendar year? Would that be, I guess would have to be done, right?
Yeah, not too bad. He runs out, I think, December 31st.
So RFP out, responses. Decisions.
You know, there's already a draft in progress.
Mother secretary.
Working on it.
Oh, there you go.
Any other questions? All those in favor? That's carried.
I like the color of this one.
Color of what?
Item number 30.
Oh, you like that one?
Jerry would like you to add color to everything, not just maps.
Nice big words so we can read it.
Okay, so we had chatted a bit about moving around December meetings because December 9th, there's a conflict anyway. And we only have one meeting in December, so we're gonna move this to December 16th. Council Township of Armour approves the rescheduling of the Tuesday, December 9th, 2025 regular council meeting to Tuesday, December 16th, 2025 at 7 p.m. And the cancellation of the regular council meeting scheduled for Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025 at 10 p.m. We move our Wendy, Jerry, all those in favor? That's easy enough.
I had to be because I was gonna vote to come on the 23rd.
Years ago.
Number 31. Holy, I put that up on social media. People got angry.
The fees and charge, okay.
These will be changing, I can't remember.
They run out at the end of the year, so we have to update, because the fee bylaw only ran until 2025. So what's being proposed in the draft one is much different than what we were doing in the past. So in the past, the previous clerk increased the fees annually.
Yeah, CPI.
But it's getting out of whack with other municipalities, especially like the lifetime dog one is like $150 or more. And neighboring municipalities, it's running around what? Under $50. So, and it becomes an administrative issue at every January with going and changing all those GLs at the front for a $5 or $10 increase. So what we're proposing is some of them go like a 2-year at a certain rate and then they'll increase for 2 years. Some will just stay the certain rate for 5 years. But it's
more looking at it at a case by case basis.
yes, and we're trying to make it a little more consistent so that our fees don't get out of whack compared to neighboring municipalities because ours are continually increasing annually.
That means our wages will be getting out of whack too then.
What CPI is what, under 2% right now?
We rounded it up to 10. Don't worry about it.
That's a joke.
But I think the fee bylaw is going to be better received than it has been in the past, just based on them, for the public side, because it's not going up each year.
Every year.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have any kind of resolution for that one. That's just a
No.
notice.
Be aware.
Okay.
You gotta do that one in two meetings, right?
I've already been questioned about what this meant.
Yeah.
Didn't have any
Caution one.
links right there. They could see.
We see is the word fees.
Yes, understandable.
No. Last but not least, staff report from Allison. So this is the annual allocation of accumulated surplus and the various accounts where that money was gone. So this is just an FYI. There's nothing associated with this one.
That's right.
I love that she writes it, like she brings it to my level. There is no financial considerations, simply transferring some money. Thank you, Allison. Great.
Okay, and we've already done 33 and 34, the hard ones. Well, you're done.
All she wrote.
Council Township of Armour adjourns this regular council meeting at 9:11 PM. Until the next regular council meeting scheduled for October 14th, or at the call of the mayor or the clerk. A mover. Dorothy, seconder, or Jerry, all those in favor? And out of session. Thanks, folks. Have a good night. You're still there.